Greetings and welcome, everyone. We are in another episode of the Health, Wisdom, and Wealth Show, and I'm Velyn Hawkins, your host. I'm so excited to be here today with our guest, GAIL Turner-Cooper. And we're going to be in the conversation of deep work. How much is your health worth? I know for me, it took me a minute to figure that out. And when I did, it was like everything changed. And we're going to be in a conversation about what might change for you and what might have changed for our guest. So let me just tell you a little bit about GAIL. She is CEO at Align Health Coaching, and she's a certified health coach, a Reiki Master, functional and integrative medicine advocate, and an entrepreneur who's promoting the lifestyle, living the lifestyle that can improve your health, increase your days on the earth, living a vibrant, healthy life, and allowing you, as most of us are leaders, allowing you as the leader of your family, of your communities, of your workplaces, and your businesses to just be a greater leader, because we lead a lot by example. And we are going to be here today talking with GAIL about how you can be a better leader. So welcome, GAIL. It's so great to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here with you.
There we go. Awesome. Well, our conversation today is going to be about deep work. How much is your health worth? And I think that's a question that a lot of us tend to want to ask ourselves, but we might not be able to give ourselves the best, most truthful answer. But as we get into that conversation, just tell us a little bit about you. I mentioned some little snippets. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey through life that brought you to this place of actually being a health coach to women and men and people who want to just really have this deep desire to improve their lives.
I love that you mentioned improve their lives, because that's ultimately what I was trying to do. I was an executive vice president at a large marketing agency and thinking, running the rat race, doing all the work, working all the hours, making my life happen. And then I realized this isn't my journey. This is not my soul's path. My soul's path, the importance that I'm here on this earth, is to really help people. So I took a deep dive into myself and realized what my passions were, what fills my cup, what brings joy into my life. And then I followed the little breadcrumbs that were set out before me and realized that becoming a functional medicine health coach was my ultimate dream and my soul's purpose in helping people. From that, I explored a lot of different areas, along with Reiki and theta healing, different energy healing modalities as well. There's a bunch of other fun things, but really it came to that point of my soul was not being fulfilled, and I didn't feel like I was really following that proper path. So went back to school, went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and then realized that was just dipping my tiny toe in the waters of things. And it was a good education, just not enough for me. So then I went to the School of Applied Functional Medicine. And that is where I took that deep dive into the learning and exploring into functional medicine. That's how I came to be Align Health Coaching.
And I love how the name really brings in a lot about the work that you do too, because most of us recognize when we're out of alignment with ourselves. We've got health issues, we've got, this thing or that thing, or, whether it's mood and, and emotional reactionary persona versus the peace and calm that we're looking for. And, when we think about what it is that we want in our lives, recognizing that we're in that state of misalignment or
Mm.
total out of alignment. What are your thoughts around that? I mean, you named your business Align Health Coaching. What was the thinking behind that?
Exactly what you're speaking of is how are we going to get ourselves into complete alignment? Be that body, mind, spirit, soul, complete alignment, becoming whole, and not just parsing, for example, nutrition out or parsing exercise out. Instead, it's looking at someone as a whole to be completely aligned. I would say, really, the pivoting place in that space for me was when I began meditation practice every single day. And it really came to me that this is what alignment feels like. Everyone can feel like this.
Wow. Yes, yes. And what do you find most people actually come to you for? Is it, the nutrition piece or I just feel something is off? What is the thing that you find that most people come to you for?
It is that they're not feeling like they used to feel. They feel drained. They're not getting great sleep. They may even know that their hormones aren't working as well as they used to, and they can get them in alignment. I think, of course, weight loss is inevitable, but I explain weight is simply a symptom, and a symptom is the secret language of our body. So it's up to us to really figure out why that weight is sticking around. Why is your body presenting a symptom of weight? Is it not enough sleep? Is it poor nutrition, a lack of exercise? Is it a heavy metal toxicity? And we need to dive in and figure that piece out too. And then, I would say those are the most common ones.
Nice, nice. Because I think that it's important for people to understand that we come to this place from various vector points,
Mhm.
right? But the commonality of them all is that it begins within, and it causes us to really do the deep work from within. And you talked about Reiki and other
Mhm.
energy modalities. Tell us a little bit about how those things can assist. What do they help to do?
Let's go back to the word alignment. If we are feeling energetically off, and we've been feeling energetically off for quite some time because we've not made ourselves a priority and we've just kind of shoved our self in the background, put us on the back burner, and move forward in life, work, family, this, that, and the other, and we begin to feel drained. So a very common thing that people come to see me for Reiki is that drained energy feeling. So going into the aura field as well as the chakra system and putting that back into alignment, rebalancing, cleansing, purging out the old and allowing for the new to develop and grow within is something I've seen day in and day out. It brings me great joy to be able to provide people.
I I can imagine as a certified hypnotherapist, I do totally relate. And I know that transformation is huge for us. Not
Mhm.
only have we seen transformation happen in our own lives, but that is one of the key principles around the work that we do. What is one of the key areas that you see that transformation, actual lasting transformation? It just came to me that a lot of people think, um, the stars, Oprah or, anyone, being that, it feels like they're an overnight sensation. But then when you find out that, they did what they did to get where they are, that then you see this successful person, that transformation has occurred in their lives. But is it one transformation? Is it
Mm.
a combination of transformations? What is your take on that?
Well, to kind of continue your thought, which is a beautiful thought, I don't think they stop. I certainly don't. I don't want to get to a place and go, oh, that's my full potential of growth now. And I don't have to continue to do the deep work and to make ourselves this priority and really realize that we are worth so much, and to please continue the work and continue the desire for that transformative effect. But the transformation to me in a sustainable way is, again, understanding your number one priority, fill up your cup, and that way you can continue to pour from that very full cup. And I think we've lost a little bit of that along the way, but hopefully our word is getting out there to people. And I think it is. I think that people are starting to realize, wait, I am number one priority. I am worth the transformation that I hope and desire that will occur. And that way it can sustain as a lifestyle, not just, again, I did the work and now I can put everything aside.
Absolutely. Um, and I really appreciate that, because it takes me to my next question about the importance of self-care. And, I think that we have even begun to hear and use self-care such that it's, less of an impactful thought than it should be. Tell us a little bit about your focus and helping people to really align with the thought of self-care and the importance of it.
My One of the exercises I do with clients is a neurolinguistics programming exercise all around values. And, I ask people to list out 10 values of why they even worry about their health. What is it that's important? And I love it when self care comes up. I sometimes give this as a recommendation as well, just to kind of plant the seed there that we have to continue to embrace ourselves, hold ourselves with love and compassion, and focus on that self care for that continued sustainable transformative growth. As we want to continue to ascend, as we want to continue to learn and grow, we can't keep driving ourselves so hard and wear the badge of honor of, I went to work sick with the flu, or I work, 80 hours a week. Instead, it's, what are the pieces that make up you, and how can you formulate the best self-care plan so you can be excellent, not only at work, but as a family member, as a friend, as a self human being. Spiritual growth, emotional growth, mental growth, so forth and so on. As far as my particular self-care, it kind of runs the gambit. Is it, take a few hours and read every day? Read something that is joy or fulfilling for me, brings a lot of joy to me. Or is it continual education that also brings me joy? Is it making sure that you get plenty of sleep? Sleep is my number one recommendation for people. Is it can launch the cascade of the stress cycle, or the opposite, it gets you off the stress cycle. And we all know how bad stress is for our systems. So self-care doesn't have to be what you may see in social media of, make sure you get a manicure. It can be that, if that brings you joy. Or it could be a walk in the woods. Make sure you develop that meditation practice for yourself if that brings you joy, and that's a great reliever of stress. So self-care is very, very important to me, but I would like to just remind everyone that it doesn't have to be all the things that you see on social media. Just it's time to take care of you and shed yourself with love and compassion.
That's beautiful. And sometimes it means that we have to learn how to do that. You've given some really amazing suggestions in that area and even examples in your own life. And I think that there are a lot of things that we have learned about self-care. Self-care is going to get a manicure, but that just means I'm stressing because I'm spending the money on it, or things like that. Whereas to if that is what we learned, then let's unlearn
Mm,
that and learn that if doing that really makes you feel good, then focus on that aspect and not let the stress of the money be a part of it, or do something differently that is the joy piece,
mm,
that the stress around the money or the time, or I can't fit it in because I've got so many things to do, or when I fit it in I'm missing out on doing this, that, or the other. Really shifting our thinking around those elements is part of what we have to re-educate ourselves about and learn a new way to approach these types of things, especially where we don't feel like we're the most important people
right.
in our lives. It really is an unlearn that thinking and behavior to learn and replace with the right thinking and behavior that creates the better life, the improved life that you were speaking to. And I love that because a lot of what we do here on the show is really focus on the food. This is
Mm.
all about using lifestyle and food as medicine. And, we're talking about a lifestyle element here with self care. What's another lifestyle element that you focus on with your clients and yourself?
There are so many good things to mention here, so it may be difficult to pull out the right one. I would say being helpful reminder of being gentle with yourself on a journey, such as your wellness journey, is so critical. Um, the other piece would be not judging. I do a lot of focus around removing the judgment, reframing how you see yourself and others. And that seems to be quite a catalyst for a lot of other types of development, talking about a holistic approach, right?
Hmm.
So I often give people a challenge of a 30-day no judgment. This includes yourself as well as others. And notice how often it comes up all day, every day, how you judge yourself, how about this, that, or the other. So the goal here is to notice when that happens, bring gentle awareness to that, and then cancel that one thought with three positives. So, for example, if you're judging yourself and you may be standing in front of the mirror and you're like, oh, I can't fit these jeans on today because of X, Y, and Z. And then you go down the rabbit hole of self deprecation talk, which doesn't help anyone. Then, what are three loving things that you can tell yourself? Or if it's judgment of someone else, what are three loving things, even if you don't know the person? Make something up to cancel that space. And at the end of 30 days, the goal here is that reframing. What's the lens in which you look at yourself as well as others to build that healthier, stronger mental piece to carry you through a wellness journey for the rest of your life?
I love that. I love that. And you're right, that can play out in so many different
Mm,
ways. Um, and the 30-day exercise, the challenge, I love that as well. Um, and I might do that. I used to, and I think this is an important piece too, is, some of us spend a lot of time looking behind us, and you
Mm,
can't go forward if you're focused on what's behind. But you do need to take those moments to reflect. It's like looking in the rearview mirror. You can't drive when you're always looking in the rearview mirror, right? But you do
right.
spend that time to see and notice, and that brings about an awareness. And there are things that have happened. I know in years past, I was like the most critical of myself. And it is a journey to recognize those times and then say, even thank you for showing up. You're showing me that I'm still dealing with this right now. And um, the three things to create that reframe energy, awesome. I love that. And I think that goes across the board.
Mm.
So let's talk about self confidence for a moment, and even how the energy, when someone feels like, I'm not confident enough to do that, or I'm fearful of that, what kind of energy shows up, and what one might be able to do to shift that and be on the other side of that, and what that might feel like.
Confidence is something that I think so many people strive for. And taking just a moment, when we talk about taking the time to reflect, right, in the rearview mirror for just a moment and realize you may have more confidence than you give yourself credit. So, first, let's understand where we're starting from and then how to build upon that. Realizing that you take the time to embrace your wins, little wins, big wins, medium sized wins, do that every day will help you realize, wait, I did do this. Oh, I can do this. I am worthy of this. And another piece that I often introduce for my clients is that gratitude journal. There is so much science behind the gratitude journal. Talk about a beautiful reframe. But in the space of being gratitude or being grateful, excuse me, and ending your day in that space is such a beautiful piece of um, building the confidence, because you can say, I am grateful for the ability to have been able to do X, Y, or Z. And I'm grateful for this being in my life. Oh, how was it built in your life? Oh, I brought that into my life. And just building upon that space as well. So, that gratitude journal, I often give people a journal the very first session, and that's their homework, the very first session. I often call it a lifelong homework that every night for the rest of your life, you'll write down at least 5 things that you're grateful for and how they came to be.
Great exercise. I love that. And I think that it's so important for us to do. Um, I have a gratitude moment as I wake every morning, and a prayer of thanksgiving that I woke up, because a lot of us don't get that gift.
Yes,
And the same in the evening, and journaling the gratitude, I think, really causes us to reflect, not just from the head, but from the heart.
exactly. Beautifully stated.
And that leads me to my next question, which is about fitness
Mm,
and exercise. I
mhm.
know that, someone who feels I'm not fit, and, it's hard for me to exercise. It impacts their level of confidence, and it impacts moodiness. It impacts, how they deal with a hormonal imbalance. Tell us a little bit about how you approach someone who's struggling in this area of fitness.
My biggest piece is to really understand where someone is at the moment. Going back to confidence, is it a lack of confidence that keeps them from exercising? Okay, great. start with some chair exercises and a person from YouTube until you build the space to be able to move into a gym arena or outside or wherever you may feel more confident. So, truly understanding where someone is starting from is so key. But then I think building upon the why behind exercise. Why is it important? Turning over that mitochondria is so important to gain energy, building your ATP, maintaining, getting good hormonal balance, all getting great sleep. It's a stress reduction technique. So there's lots of great pieces that you can add to the why behind. And that helps people understand, okay, do I really need to do this? I mean, I hear it's good for you, but why? I am such an advocate for explaining the why because I want to know. But I will say, for me, I find my personal exercise is best served when I hire someone. If left to my own devices, I find it difficult to prioritize it. So how do I get it in? Well, I join a group training program and then I show up.
Yes, yes. As a fitness professional in my early days and having a dual career, I found that for me, it was the ability to relieve the stress
Yes.
and, maintain a mental balance that I wanted to have. And just the things that physically with the release of toxins in the sweat and, even to know that the body requires movement. We're sitting here now and there is a certain degree of movement, but if we think about it in relation to the way the body is designed to move, we're like here when our physical requirements are up here,
Right.
but it doesn't mean that we have to overstress either. And I think that's important to recognize. But even more than that, and I love how you brought that in, um, finding out what serves you best. And if it's hiring someone or if it's going to the gym so that you don't feel that you're alone. And now that we're on the other side of, COVID as it was, there's more opportunities there. There's, online, there's on TV. There's so many ways that we can do this now. And I often tell people and have told people from way back, one of the things that was important for me was getting there is probably the most difficult thing.
Yes.
And once you're there, it's like, I'm here, I'm doing it. But it's also important to embed the impact of your being there by being grateful at the end of it. There's another one. We
Yes.
used to do this thing. I actually would say, go around the class and high five everybody. You did it, you did it, you did it. And as you're telling them, they're telling you. And what an impact that makes. So go to the mirror. If you're doing it alone, go to the mirror and high five yourself. You did it, you did it.
That's beautiful.
Mm. And even when it comes to your self-care,
Mhm.
acknowledging that you've accomplished something. You were mentioning about the little celebrations and the
Mm.
big celebrations. Talk to us a little bit about why that's so important because it really is.
I liken it to the cement of solidifying the foundation of why you're doing things, or to give yourself little pats on the back to motivate you to continue to do the things that are serving you, to say them out loud to your friends and family, or maybe you write them down and keep them close to your heart, or maybe it's both. But it really helps cement in why you're doing these things. Oh, I get to bring joy into this. It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be, this drain of energy, your wellness journey. Instead, it's, I did this. I accomplished this. Look what I did today. look what my goal is going to be. Or maybe you accomplish 3 goals in a month. Congratulations. That celebration, I think, is so key to help continue to motivate people to stay on that journey and again bring gratitude to a space.
I so agree. And it's a key element of who we are and building it in now. And if you've built it in, you recognize that it continues with you. Building it in now, it will continue with you as you
Yes.
go on. And it's really key. We have, from what I have experienced, many of us, most of us, haven't learned that that is something that we must give ourselves, that pat on the back. We were in the occasional event or group and we get to do that and it really feels good, but we leave there thinking that that's not something that I can carry with me. And it really is key. Not to mention the fact teaching our kids
Mm.
that as well. Teaching our kids about taking the walk, put down the devices, give me 30 minutes, let's go for a walk. Um, my kids grew up in the gym with me. We called ourselves the gym rat family. But I tell you, it was so key for all of us because they would read on the ride home. They would,
Mm.
and they got to experience so much as well. Um, both of my kids played competitive racquetball and, um, tournaments, and I was just so enamored by that because there was nothing in my mind to think that my kids would want to do something like that, much less do it and enjoy it. And we could do it as a family, and it wasn't just all about mom. And, you
Right.
know, um, and I think that we have to find those things too. I remember a lot of our friends were taking kids to soccer practice, and they were I'm just the taxi. Um, and I felt like it was so much more fun for me when I could be a part of the carpool and, bringing the snacks and just helping the kids to have fun doing it. So I
Mhm.
think that's a lot of it too, where we pressure them to um, see and do things because that's the way that we learn to see and do things. And that's an element of stress. And do you find that coming up for people as you're working with them and their own issues? I've got this, and this to do. How do you reconcile all of that?
Do you mean in the pressure of their children or in the pressure of themselves?
In the pressure of, I want to do these things for my kids, but what about me?
It goes back to, let's talk about prioritization. Let's talk about the time management, where, it's if you are spending your time on your device, how much time is gone? How many minutes, hours are absorbed through either answering emails that don't need to be answered right then and there, or spending time on social media apps, or time just flies. And I think if we get just a little time management understanding and plan out your days and weeks, it makes all of that simplified. I have a secret sauce that I tell everyone. There's 2 ingredients to the secret sauce of this wellness success. One is planning, be that meal planning, be that planning of your time, be that prioritization of your schedule. And then the second is routine. So once you plan it, if you can stick to your routine, barring any vacations, emergencies, things like that, of course, then you will succeed. That is a guarantee.
I love that. And It's so funny that you brought that up. I remember that is one of the things that I felt like was a huge value add
Mm.
for my family, was the planning things out, creating the routine. It just made life a little simpler for myself. And I remember uh, actually quite a few times, oh, you're so predictable. Oh, you're so, your routines, you're just, and I think that was it. You're so predictable.
Did
And
you say
somebody,
thank you?
well, I wasn't quite there at the time to say thank you. It built up over time that when I did start saying thank you, people were like, okay, I wonder what that is,
Yeah.
and yeah, I said, I'm predictable. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be teaching my classes. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a team leader. I'm going to be a mentor. I'm going to, and those things you can build into the prioritization of your life. I'm going to go to Toastmasters. I'm going to prepare for my speeches.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't have to mean boring or stagnant. Predictability is not boring or stagnant.
it's actually freeing because you know what's next. Now, I think that we get ourselves in trouble when we're in that predictability of, anger, bursts of anger.
Mhm.
And don't bother me, I just cannot be bothered, the anxiety. And we have to, I love how you did that too, the whole 360-degree self,
Mm.
and see where we're out of sync, to be able to recognize not only what we might need, but how we can get what we need with the exercising. I just need to hire someone. I just need to say, nope, it's time. I got to go, jump in the car, go to the gym. It's after dinner, even if it's before cleaning up the dishes, just let's go for this walk, get the blood flowing, and, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then come back, clean up, do the rest of whatever anybody has to do. And I mean, that kind of predictability, I think, is also life saving.
Very much.
I want to go back to a point that you made, your time management secret sauce. I love that because we have to learn how to manage ourselves in time versus managing time. Time
Mhm.
cannot be managed. It is, like the universe is, time is. What we do is manage ourselves within that frame. And you mentioned planning and routine, the predictability. Well, let's talk about food,
Mhm.
because I know this is a big thing. Fast food came about because they were hearing so many people say, I need something quick. I need something that, I can do pretty quickly. And McDonald's said, I got your answer. And then it went downhill from there.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. And we're trying now to pick up the pieces
Mhm.
of the broken lives, and the lives that are walking around now, stressed and don't know why, obese and don't know why, um, just, issues, eczema,
Mm.
hormonal, thyroid, even chronic illnesses. And we just have not gotten the connection to food. Let's talk about that for a while. What do you see, and how do you really get people to open to the idea that food, or the kind of food that they're consuming, might be a part of their problem?
The very first step is food journaling. It doesn't have to be an extensive food journal. I have a little Excel spreadsheet that I send people, and that is the first um, key piece of data. First, I explain it's never from a place of judgment, not from me, and certainly shouldn't come from you. So just jot down everything that you've ingested. I don't need to know the ounces of strawberries. There are some apps that say, how many ounces of that? I have no idea how many ounces of this, nor do I want to spend the time to measure it, because they're talk about time management. Just tell me I had 5 strawberries. Excellent. Now we're moving on. And then I ask them to write down the symptoms that they're feeling that day. I had high energy, I slept great, or the opposite. Maybe you had an eczema flare up, maybe your autoimmune conditions had a flare up. Then we start piecing it back. You notice the patterns, but it brings gentle awareness from the client when they see it on paper, and nothing makes me happier than when they start circling and putting their own arrows to the sheets. I'm like, that is when I know you're taking ownership. When you know, if I eat corn, for example, I then get achy joints. And they start being able to piece that together. So when they are making decisions at a restaurant or making their food, their meal plans, they realize, perhaps I'm not going to include corn because I know it makes me feel this way and it doesn't serve me. I can eat this though, and bring that reframe of positivity to the space and say, I get to know what makes my joints feel achy, and I can avoid that. So I can have all these beautiful foods and move forward in that space.
Beautiful. I love the food journal. And I think that is so key, no matter where we are or when we are, to recognize and put that in place. And food, we're still in this food space. What kind of foods? Our show really started with the thought of bringing more awareness to the benefits of living a whole food, plant-based diet and lifestyle, and the foods that really can be considered as medicine for the body, because it's not just about eating, it's about eating the foods that actually nourish us, right? And how do you help people to see that not only is it what it is that you're eating, but integrating the right foods, the best foods into that intake, and then preparing for it all?
Right. I'd like to answer the question first with Michael Pollan's 7 beautiful words of wisdom, that I sing these words all the time to people. So 7 words, Michael Pollan: eat food, meaning real food, not edible food like substances. Mostly plants, talking about the portions of your plate, making sure that you get those leafy greens in, making sure that you fill it up with healthy carbohydrates like veggies. And then not too much talks about the portions themselves. So eat food, mostly plants, not too much. Beautiful, easy little 7 words. This is taking all the complication out of understanding the foods that would best serve us. So jumping back to that food journal, after some time and having people realize, oh, wait, these types of foods are the ones that are hurting me, and these are the foods that are healing me, that ownership that they get to take. Now they're going to place that in a food planning menu. So on Sundays, I recommend that people list out what they intend to eat for the week. Go to the grocery store, stay on list. Don't jump off all the list. Don't go to the grocery store hungry, and stay on the list. Come back and begin to prepare those foods. But food is our medicine. I could not agree more that if we continue to touch the hot stove, for example, sticking with that corn example, if you continue to touch that hot stove, you will get the same symptom, and then your body is going to end up giving you a louder symptom. And that's really what we want to stay away from. So reframing the whole topic of food to begin with for people is so important. So a lot of people come to the table alienating food, or oh, if I could just take a pill and be done and I wouldn't have to cook, or I wouldn't have to do this, that, and the other. It takes a little bit of reframing. That gets more into the mental space of how can we begin to look at food as our friend? And then how can we begin to love the food? And then when you love the food, then you're nourishing your body even more so.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And gosh, I could keep going in this conversation with you. I just love how we're doing this. But I want to kind of bring us to a close here and ask you if there was some advice, some words of wisdom that you would leave with our audience today that would help to make an impact in their lives and that they could then pass on as well. What would those words of wisdom be?
You are worthy. You are worthy for this wellness journey. You are number one priority. Once you make yourself number one priority and you begin to heal yourself, you can be the ripple effect in the whole sea of your community, your family, your environment, and spread the words of wisdom that helped heal you into everyone else. And then what would our world look like from that point forward? It would be joyous.
Yes, indeed. Wow. Gail, thank you so much for
Oh,
being
thank
here with
you.
us today. This has been such a great conversation, and I so appreciate you. And to our audience, I want to make sure that you know how to connect with Gail. Her information, the link to her website is going to be just below this video. So do reach out, do check her out and see what she's doing. I love her programs and everything that she's offering, and connect. It's all about connecting.
Mm.
Find her on Facebook, on your favorite social channel, and remember to share this video with friends and family who you want to hear this information. And we're excited about things to come in future episodes. So do come back and join us again next week. Turn on your notifications, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as we close, I just want you to remember, thank you for being here. Be well, live, love, and be a bigger positive impact maker in your world. Bye for now.